Welcome to Driving the Lane with Randy Kraayenbrink and Chuck Rowe, a podcast presented by News Talk 1540 KXEL. Now, Driving the Lane.
Welcome to Driving the Lane. Randy Kraayenbrink, Chuck Rowe, the show we mostly talk about one thing only, and that is
Panther basketball.
Now, it's important that we remind you that even though we are the official UNI basketball show for News Talk 1540 KXEL, our comments may not reflect the feelings of our friends at UNI. However, Randy is a former player, and we've both played at the UNI golf outing.
Yes, we have, Chuck. Yes, we have.
Because of that,
I'm not saying we've played well at the UNI golf outing, but we've played.
But we played there. We both got lunch at the event.
Lunch, maybe some apparel. Who knows?
Yeah, and because of that, you put it all together, and this is as official as this show is going to get. So,
love it.
As always, we have a great show for you this week. Joining us today, Austin Phyfe. And, of course, the Financial Architect's quote of the week. Let's get going. Randy, excited to have with us today, UNI center, Austin Phyfe. And then because we have another special guest, the second best Phyfe that ever walked the halls of UNI, Steve Phyfe, joining us as well. Thanks for joining us, both of you.
It's a pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
Now, Austin, I know this year was tough for you medically. At the end of last season, you were probably pumped to start this season. But then as the news went on month by month, it seemed to get a little worse and worse. Walk us through the experience of how you had to prepare for that mentally. And then, Steve, as a father, how did you have to, do your part walking alongside him during that journey?
Yeah, it was definitely something that you're always hoping for the best outcome. You always want to, after last year, we had a great year as a team, another conference championship, but then personally not being able to play too much, as everybody knows. And then just kind of the hope that me being able to come back this year and play, that it would be different, be able to get me back out there playing normal minutes, feeling better physically, and then finding out eventually that I wouldn't be able to. It was definitely tough, especially when you just kind of get those expectations and hopes up again after already going through a medical redshirt type of year previously in my career. So I'd say that hurt a little bit, having that happen twice, but I'd also say it helps just knowing that that's going to be okay. This thing's happened. That kind of stuff, but also just the point where I'd be able to be around the team and be as much of an impact as I can on or off the court.
Yeah, Chuck, from my standpoint, obviously, everything that Austin's been through and the family's been through is so much bigger than the game. It doesn't even come close. And obviously it's a game that all four of us love very, very much. And we've dealt with it at different levels, the whole thing, just being there through the process with him, trying to figure out all the way from last year during the season, what was going on, why this was happening, weren't getting the answers, and just watching him struggle. And we all saw it, firsthand, on television, whatever, where he was out there for 2 or 3 minutes and couldn't breathe, and as a father, and I know I've told the story before on Austin, but as a father, and a player and a Panther fan, he was like, come on, man, suck it up. Just get out there and, run up and down the court, and, and then after the fact, and when we got to Mayo and found out that it was blood clots and things like that, you look back and you just go, holy cow, we're lucky that he's with us today, and just going through that with him and with Lisa and our whole family, and how he's handled that is unbelievable from a parent standpoint, to be able to have your son or daughter be able to handle it the way he has. And obviously he still has aspirations to do great things, whether what it is, but just being proud of that and how he's handled himself once he was diagnosed, once we had the surgery, and even today, how we're still going through it, and hoping for some better news as we move forward. It's just, we're very, very proud of him more as a young man than as a basketball player on how he's handled the situation.
Yeah, we obviously, I can't tell you how many times we sit around and talk with clients. We sit around and talk with family, and we sit there going, man, if only we had Austin. If only we had Austin out there. You know, I mean, everybody said that, right? But like you pointed out, Steve, the big picture, we still have Austin, and that's huge, right? So I had the opportunity to show up at practice and hang out a little bit at practice, and I think Austin, kind of fill your role a little bit, what you're currently doing with the team, what you're currently doing, because as I got to observe a couple things in the locker room, out on the floor, obviously the rest of the players obviously are looking up to you, and you're doing something for them, and kind of explain maybe your role right now for the team.
Yeah, so I'm definitely kind of in between role and looking at kind of being a player and a coach. Sometimes it helps still being on the team, being a player, with just getting through to some of the guys, it being still very relevant to me, things that have happened. So just being able to help out where I can on the court with the guys, get shots up, help out, especially I'd say the bigs, guys like Cole James, Krogs, Chase, just kind of talking to those guys, telling them what I see, what they might see, just kind of bouncing ideas back off of each other. And then in the office for most of the days, just kind of doing little tasks here or there, whatever it may be, and just kind of really seeing what coaching's like, maybe cutting some film here or there, helping out with a little project, and just really trying to see if that would maybe be a career I'd want to pursue myself. Well, just kind of having this extra time with having no class until I'll student teach after the season, just kind of making the most out of my time right now to do as much as I can to help the guys, especially guys in my role, and being an experienced guy on such a young team, and then just wherever I can help out in the office as well.
Well, a lot of great big men have come through the halls of UNI, Seth Tuttle being one of them. What have you learned from him as, Austin the player, compared to what maybe you learned from him now as Austin the coach?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I credit a lot of where I am today, basketball wise, from him. I guess I'll give my dad a little love too from that standpoint. But
Yeah.
I don't know if Randy would want me to. I don't know.
You gave him a small part. I'm good with that.
But then just cool seeing when you're a player, a lot of things, everything's going 100 miles per hour. You don't really see anything until you're not playing and really looking in onto how many things like that frustrate you as a coach. And as a player, you're like, it's not that big of a deal. But then just from me not playing now, seeing how easy it really should be, and how like the technical things, it's like I'm getting frustrated on things that I made the same mistakes last year, but just being in a different seat, being in a different role is crazy. And then just from Todd, just his knowledge of the game is incredible, how well he knows everything, how it's all just, it's really just math and stuff, angles he's looking at, all that kind of stuff. And then just how personable and relatable his personality is. And with us, like you might get on a player for a little bit, like have a day or two, and it's because you love them. It's because you're trying to make them better. It's nothing being that. So you're on them for a couple days, and then you throw a joke at them and make them laugh. Just it's something like that where it's just really cool to see that side of things.
So when you were a player, you would probably have times you say, gosh darn it, why are these coaches always getting on me? But now you're on the other side of things. Oh, okay, now I get it.
Yeah, they're always trying to, I mean, everybody strives for perfection, and that's never going to happen, which we know that, but it's just little mistakes that happen over and over. You don't really realize how much that impacts like a game, a practice, just when it happens over and over. And you can see how you might not think a lot of the coaches have patience, but how much patience they actually have with you when people are making the same mistake over and over.
Now, something that's a little newer this year that I've seen in the past is Steve actually sits down during games, and he sits in the same row we do. I actually sit next to your grandmother. And so, from your point of view, I always see you stand up, kind of turn around, look at your family. What's it like being able to see your entire family sitting behind the bench every game for you?
It's still cool. I mean, of course, I'd love to be out there, and I know they'd love to have me out there as well. But just the support that I have from them still, and how much it shows how much they care about me, as well as just the university and program as well. They just want us to succeed. Being around it since I've been growing up, it's been awesome. But then just seeing even people like my sister will try to make as many games as she can, having a longer car ride. My mom and dad be able to come, and then my grandma, who's getting older now, still making the trip, bringing some of her quilting and sewing friends to the game. So it waves at me when I'm walking out. So that's just really cool to see everybody there and still see all the support I have, even if it's not exactly in the role I want to be right now, but still supporting me in whatever I do.
And Steve, from your vantage point, now that you're sitting a little bit closer now during the games, what kind of things are you enjoying when you see him doing his coaching job during the games?
You know, it's interesting just to see the interaction like he talked about, you know, with the players. You know, someone, you know, Cole or James will come out of the game and, you know, he puts his arm around him and is talking to him. You know, you want to be a fly right there, you know, seeing what he's saying, but you know he's saying the right things. You know, giving them the guidance that they need. Maybe it's just an encouraging word, or said, hey, maybe you should have drop stepped here, or done something, or take it to the hole, or whatever. You know, so it's fun watching that. You know, obviously we're UNI people, we're UNI fans, you know, we're family. You know, we went to games before Austin was on the bench. You know, we'll go to games after, you know, Austin's, you know, on to the next phase of his life, when and wherever that's at. But it is fun, and yeah, it's different when your child isn't on the court. I think we all can kind of relate to that. You know, maybe the nervousness isn't quite as high or whatever, and you know, and yeah, I have sat down a lot more. I still like to be up top. You know, you kind of get a little bit better, different view of the game on what's happening and what's unfolding on the court. But it is pretty neat to, you know, be able to sit there by, you know, with my mom and obviously Lisa, and when Afton's in town, and her husband Jacob, and just being able to enjoy the games. And this, I tell you what, this team this year, and Randy, you'd mentioned it, you know, only if we had Austin, but this team just goes out and gets after it. And you know, the credit to them, the coaching staff, and to the players. You know, they've had some hard knocks. You know, when you lose AJ and Noah, and now Nate and Austin not able to play, and Kimmins is gone. You know, so it's a totally different look. And these guys have just grabbed it and said, hey, this is us, and we're going to go. And yeah, they're going to make mistakes, absolutely, but they're learning and growing, and they're a fun team to watch. They really, really are.
Yeah, it has been fun as young as they are. You know, like we said, you have to live with those mistakes, right? But at the end of the day, they're giving 110%, and at the end of the game, somehow they're figuring out how to win, and they're doing a great job. Back 1 second, Austin. So now you get to play that role where you get to so PJ is just yelling and screaming at one of the kids, right? And because maybe they didn't play defense quite right, but he forgot about the 3-pointer they made at the other end. But let's not talk about that. Anyway, so they're yelling at him, right? So what's kind of cool, I think, is you've been there, right? You've been yelled at by PJ, and now you get to maybe sit in the film room, and you get to sit and talk why PJ yelled at him. So now you get to maybe go to the locker room and tell Cole, hey Cole, you know, PJ really yelled at you. But is that kind of a role you've also taken on a little bit?
Yeah, especially just kind of being not having all the knowledge. I'd say, like, PJ's our defensive guy. Like, he does such a good job. He knows everything. He's been around the program. He knows it. And when, like I said earlier, when he's getting on you, he cares. He wants us to be successful. He cares about you. He cares about the team. But yeah, in my role, just kind of with not doing huge X and O stuff right now, just kind of learning the process, I say, of the coaching things, but then just being able to calm a guy down, maybe if they get worked up a little bit, if you're an emotional guy, and just let them know what I see, what a coach is maybe trying to get across to the player, and just kind of a good cop, bad cop kind of way. Just kind of letting them know that is good. It happens to all of us. We're going to get yelled at. It's no biggie. And some people handle getting yelled at perfectly fine. Some people, they think about it a little bit more. It gets their mind going too much. So yeah, just kind of taking that responsibility, just seeing what I see, let them know too. And I'm not going to say you didn't mess up if they messed up. It's not one of those things, but maybe instead of just outright getting yelled at, to get your mindset shifted and let them know walk them through the steps and let them know that it's all good. You're good. That kind of stuff.
So who's the UNI player that would cry first if PJ yelled at? I'm just kidding.
I was going to say,
I do want to show you this clip though. Take a second to watch
Uh-oh.
this. This is from this is from last year.
That's a good
when
look.
we talked with Steve.
I know where you're going, Chuck. I know where you're going with the story. As far as Austin's only, my wife tells me like every game, it's like now he's like 18 points away from the points that I had, and she had to call me yesterday or whatever it was. And she goes, "Hey, I went on, the website, and they list everybody, and they have you listed, and now Austin's right below you. There's nobody in between you. Isn't that so cute?" And I was like, "Yes, honey, that's like the cutest thing ever." And it is a big deal. Obviously, it's not a big deal for Austin. He could care less. Just you want what's best for your kids, and I want what's best for Austin, and the little side things like the scoring and things like that. Yeah, it's neat. Of course, people say, "Well, do you want him to beat you or have more points than you do?" I was like, it doesn't matter. He's been there for like 18 years. I only played 3. So, it doesn't really, so I'm always going to have something, but of course I want him to, I wish he could have 3,000 points.
So he goes on to say how much he loves you, how much he supports you, but that's not as fun to play. So Austin, just kind of curious from your point of view, how does it feel knowing that you are above him now? And Steve, what's your viewpoint of seeing that a year later?
It's definitely an accomplishment. It's always just some bragging rights. I got some other things I could throw at him too, but just another one added to the list of things for him. But yeah, it's definitely not something that I was during a game. I was going to shoot 5-10 times to make sure that I was going to pass him. I was only out there 4-6 minutes anyway, so I had to make the most as I could while I was out there. But definitely something just cool to see, and knows that it's fun to kind of bicker back and forth and talk about that kind of stuff, who was who. But definitely cool to see, and definitely sitting here now a year later, it's cool to see that it feels like longer than a year ago, actually, looking at that. But just seeing it was cool, and that I was able to get that done for my mom. I don't know if we're still next to each other, but
you're not. You're a little further away.
A little farther up. Yeah.
Thanks, Chuck. Appreciate that. Yeah, from my standpoint, a year later, you look at it, and all you want is, can you score one more point? That's the thing. But you go back to, obviously we're blessed that he's still with us, and things like that, and points don't mean anything. But I guarantee you that a lot of people in Panther Nation would love to see Austin get another opportunity for one more and one, and that smile that comes with that, so, but obviously as a parent, you're proud of your kid no matter what he does, but it is pretty special that, he beat me and has more points no matter how long it took or whatever. So
Austin, do you remember how old you were when you beat your father one-on-one for the first time?
I don't. It happened so many times that you just. No, I'd say probably 8th grade freshman year.
come on, man.
8th grade freshman year. He wasn't moving as fast as he used to back in the day. And
So Chuck, and I think I told you this before, that as a parent and as a player trying to coach your son, whatever, you have to give him some confidence. So there came a time where I had to back off a little bit. Randy, you understand. You have to back off a little bit, give him that confidence. It's like, okay, finally beat your dad. So yeah, probably was an 8th grader, a freshman year, that I just finally said, hey, this kid's got to take it to the next level, and he doesn't have the confidence he needs. And, you step it back a couple steps.
What's funny about that conversation, on a personal note, is, so my son Tony, right? I can't remember how many years ago we had this conversation. He goes, "Dad," he goes, I knew you let me win." He goes, I said, "You did?" I said, "I tried to disguise that." And he goes, "No." So that's your go-to right there. If he was in 7th or 8th grade, do you think he let you win, Austin, or did you beat him?
so it was actually 5th and 6th grade. I could have won, but I didn't want to hurt his spirits too bad. So I let him win a few. I was like, yeah, maybe wait till I'm like 6'3", 6'4" to.
I will admit, Austin and I did a piece for Channel 7 with Mark Woodley, the weather guy, he's a weather guy now, but and they came to the house and did a piece or whatever. And of course, Mark wanted us to do one-on-one, and we did. And, we monkeyed around a little bit, and, what they told him to go hard. And Austin put a forearm shiver into my chest. And I was like, where did that come from? It was just like, holy cow. I never felt anything like that when I played. And, that just shows you how much the game has changed. So.
Well, for you guys, family also extends into you and I. And one of the things we saw during your time in the hospital was that you saw players and coaches, you saw pictures of them visiting you. I know you guys took some time to visit AJ at a Bucks game. What does the word family mean to both of you when it comes to you and I?
Yeah, I'd say it's definitely it's a term, it's a word that's used with a lot of teams, I feel like. But when really looking at you and I think it's really true in what it says. Just talking about Coach Jake himself and all the appointments I've been to. If he can be there, he's there. If he has something more important going on, he'll still try to come. We'll have to tell him, like, no, it's okay, especially if it's just a couple of tests, like we're not meeting with the doctor or something. Like it's okay. We really appreciate it. And then just like you said, the players coming to visit me, the players texting me, always asking how I'm doing physically, mentally, everything. And then just of course, everybody on the team and in the offices, and then just everybody outside of the team, even just fans, never asking me, oh, when are you going to play? When are you going to play? It's always, how are you feeling first? And if I'm going to play comes up in the conversation, it's never the first thing talked about. Everyone would always ask how I'm feeling. What's everything looking like? When's my next appointment? How that stuff going? And it means a lot to me, just knowing that. Of course, I know a lot of people would love for me to be out playing. I'd love to be out playing too, but people really do care about my health and my happiness more than what might be the success of a basketball team.
Yeah, from my standpoint, obviously, you and I has definitely been a family, forever for me, from my playing days, and then, from the playing days until, our daughter, started swimming, and then Austin decided to go there. That just obviously made it that stronger. But to reiterate what Austin said about Coach Jake, and sometime I'll find a place publicly where I'll be able to, say these things about Coach Jake, but it's unbelievable the time and the commitment and the caring that he has for his players. If Coach Jake was somewhere else coaching or whatever, and Austin would have had a chance to go there, and I knew what Coach Jake was like. What you see with Coach Jake is what you get. I mean, he is that father figure, that friend that you want for your son to play for. And at the end of the day, yeah, we want to win games, we want to win championships, we want to make it to the postseason, we want to do this, but he's going to get those kids where they need to go when their career is done at UNI, and he supports them. I've seen it numerous times, the last few years, with how he stays connected with the past players, helps them in their careers, always an ear for them, things like that. And it's just been a blessing. And Austin's not kidding. When we're at a doctor's office, he's the first one through the door, right behind Austin, to meet the doctor. And Lisa and I are kind of sitting there, looking around, and the doctor says, okay, who's all here? And obviously, coach is in the room, and, he has that caring. It's not because, he wants his 6'9", 240, 250-pound center back on the floor. He cares about Austin. And, if I've heard it once, I've heard it 100 times from him. It doesn't matter. We just want Austin to get better, no matter what the outcome is, what the result is, or whatever. We want Austin to be able to live a full life. And then the one other thing I want to touch on, the family, and Austin doesn't get this nearly as much as I do, but just the people that go to the games, the fans that come up to Lisa and I and ask about Austin, and Austin's right. They don't, hey, when's Austin going to be back? It's how's he doing? How's he feeling? How's he dealing with it? We're thinking about him. We're praying for him. That's the family. That's what it's all about. It's not, it's once again, it's just so much more than a game.
Well, Austin, you have this untraditional route of playing at UNI where, it's not your normal 4 years, right? You have some redshirt years in there. You may or may not, maybe stay on for next year, et cetera. But how does your mindset of life and as a player change from this young 18-year-old kid coming into college as a freshman to where you are now?
Yeah, it's definitely different. I'm 2 years older right now than any of the other guys on the team. And it's not like we don't get along or hang out as much. It's just you're in very different aspects of life. You come into college, it's just different. You're young, you're excited. It's a whole new thing. And then me having it be my 6th year, it's just like there's things where at the wake up in the morning, have class all day. Not for me right now, but I guess what it would be in the office watching film, having practice. By end of the day, like 5, 6 o'clock, I'm just trying to go eat some food and go to sleep. I'm tired. Like I'm getting old. That kind of stuff. And then they're still young, still doing things, hanging out, going bowling, like always doing stuff. So that part of it's just different aspects of life. But at the same time, we're all similar enough in age. We're all still going through the same thing, but it's just, I'd say that part of it from just the hanging out, that kind of aspect. But then from the game, I think most of you guys know, as you get older, it gets so much easier. It just, everything slows down for you. Might not be as athletic or something as you once were. Your body might be hurting a little bit more, but you just understand the game that much more. It all slows down for you. You kind of get to that comfortable feeling. So just tying it back to what I've been trying to do, just having such a young team, just being able to help out those young guys and give whatever guidance and encouragement I can to them.
Well, you're up by 1 point in the Valley tournament this year, right? You're in the championships. You're up by 1, 5 seconds to go. Your opponent has the ball. What gets your nerves working a little harder? That situation or planning for a wedding?
I got to be safe with this one. I don't know.
Yeah, you do.
I'd say definitely the down 1.
Yeah.
Or up
Okay,
1, whatever you said, with 5 to go.
So when is the big day?
August 5th.
Okay.
Oh, I gotta write that down. I forgot.
Yeah. You might want to put that on your calendar.
Do you have a pastor? Do you have a pastor in place, or could Randy and I officiate the wedding? If
you and Randy hop in,
yeah,
we can talk to some people.
Yeah, run that by Abby. See what she thinks.
Yeah.
So now that we have your dad here, Randy, of course, I'm only in that 20-ish. I'm not quite as long as these guys, but what kind of advice do you guys have for Austin as he starts going down that marriage trail?
Yes, dear. I think, Randy, I'll let you go first.
Wow. I was hoping you would go first on this one. No, I tell you what, when you're marrying your best friend, which obviously you are, that makes it very special. The only thing I would say is continue, obviously life gets busier once you get married. Life gets busier once you get a real job, once you decide to have a couple little Fyfes running around.
Big Fyfes, Randy. Big
Fyfes, sorry. They start off a little, but then they become big Fyfes. Just continue, obviously, to remember who you're married to at the end of the day. Yeah.
Yeah, I think hopefully Austin has been able to see the relationship Lisa and I have, and the growth that we've had as a family together. And I think Randy nailed it, just being able to spend the needed time with them. And obviously there's always times where you have to be away for this and that, but it's a text message, it's a phone call, it's a whatever, just to let them know how much you care and appreciate them. And I'm glad they're part of what we've been able to create. So.
And Austin, I'm not going to give any advice because I think my wife wants to kill me half the time. So, but something I've noticed with you is that you've just been mature beyond your years. Randy and I, we've interviewed so many players over our years doing this. You can kind of tell who's more mature than others, and you're definitely up there. And so the question I have for you is that you're an education major. I've seen you personally coach kids. My boys, you're one of their favorite players. They loved being under your tutelage as a coach when you were helping out the Coach J camp. Has working with kids always come natural with you? And did you always know that you would want to be a teacher someday growing up?
I'd say for the most part, I've always enjoyed kids, being around kids. I'd give that credit to my sister. She was always great with kids, and I was younger brother, always hanging out with her. So if she was babysitting, maybe I'd come over, help out, hang out. But yeah, I just always had that. I don't know if it's a knack being good with kids, but I just enjoyed being around them. I like having fun with them, doing things with them. And then teacher, I don't know if the term teacher was always what I thought I was gonna do. But I knew I always wanted to be around people or around kids. So it just kind of seemed like the right path. And having my mom be a teacher and my sister being a teacher, just kind of knowing what it was like. So knowing I wanted to be around people, and I really enjoyed working with kids and thought I was pretty good with them, that education was definitely something that felt like a really good fit for me. And still being able to do some student teaching stuff now, it's still something I really enjoy, being able to be there for the kids. And not as much as, of course, I get like the teaching the curriculum part of it. Like that's what you're there to do, but really just being there for the kids, knowing a lot of kids weren't as lucky as me, wherever they come from, especially having my placements being Waterloo, just kind of being that good male figure for a lot of kids and being able to help them out with maybe some stuff that they weren't as fortunate to grow up with like I was.
So is that still kind of your future, or has this taste of coaching made you think, maybe some college coaching might be in my future as well?
No, definitely up in the air. It's been great doing the teaching's been good. I like doing it, and I'll finish my student teaching end of this year and have my license, so I can always go that route. But also, learning this year and seeing the side of coaching has also been very cool and very interesting as well to me. So just curious to keep learning about this, and it's definitely an option I think I'll keep open as well.
Well, final question for both of you. For Steve first, I wanted to ask you, Austin could have called it quits so many times now. As a father, what makes you most proud of Austin this season? And then Austin, if you could leave us off with a final word for Panther fans.
I think, Austin's someone who definitely has desire and an attitude that he wants to finish what he started, and I don't think he's had that opportunity, and he may not get that opportunity. But how you start something isn't always remembered, but how you finish something is remembered more. And I think that's the most important thing. That's probably what I'm the most proud of. Like I said earlier, how he's going through this whole process. He's handled a heck of a lot better than I would have ever handled it. And how he finishes it, and whatever that legacy he leaves, whether it's as a player, whether it's a coach, whether it's just a good friend, that's the most important thing. And I think he's well on his way to do that. So
I'll just say, for Panther fans, I feel like after people found out I wasn't playing, Nate was going to be hurt out for the year, a lot of people kind of started losing a little hope, which I mean is normal for a fan base. But in conference play right now, we're 7-3, sitting up there with I think we're third by ourselves right now in the conference, sitting there, having some big home games left, and the guys are playing, like Randy said earlier, 110%. We're young. There's a lot of things going on, but we put our halfway through the first half part of the conference. We're in a really good spot, better spot than we've been some years that we've won it. So still a lot to look forward to. We got some big games coming up, and hopefully we can bring home another conference championship.
That's awesome. Hey guys, thanks for hopping on and joining the podcast. We appreciate it. I think this is the only father-son duo that we've got going on right now, and it's a great one. We appreciate your words of wisdom and advice, and go Panthers.
Thanks, Randy. Thanks, Chuck, for everything you guys do. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Chuck. Thanks, Randy.
Now's the part of the show that everyone's been waiting for, the financial architect's quote of the week.
All right, here it is. I like this one. This is a good one. All right. God is in control, but he doesn't expect you to lean on a shovel and pray for a hole. He doesn't expect you just to lean on the shovel and just pray for a hole.
I got it.
Get it?
I got
He's
it.
in control, but you might have to do a little something.
Yeah. You have to put a little effort for it, right? You can't just
Right.
sit there and yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as a man of faith, I really love this quote.
All right. Appreciate it.
So roll up your sleeves a little bit. Come on.
Yep. Do your part, Chuck.
So, well, it's time now to say goodbye from Chuck and Randy. See you next week. Enter the closing music.